Hello everyone, this is Brandy Martinez and this is my Module 12 case study, The Budget Debacle. Okay, so Section 1, I'm going to summarize the case and establish the facts. So I'm going to talk about who's involved, where this occurred, and then what's happened so far. So Mr. Santos is the principal at Briardale Elementary. Mr. Barely is a new parent and newly appointed president of the Briardale Foundation. Mr. Morley is a former fraternity brother of Mr. Barely and the president of another elementary foundation. The Briardale community is involved, and a sheriff is involved. This all occurred at Briardale Elementary, which houses about 600 students, K through 5th grades. It's one of 6 elementary schools. Briardale Elementary curriculum focuses on basic skills. It's in a diverse community. It's centrally located, and this elementary school is used as the town's community meeting center. So what has happened is that Briar Elementary relies on fundraisers from the school's foundation to fund supplementary curriculum programs of the school's choosing. Mr. Barely wants to raise the most amount of money that has ever been raised for the Briardale Foundation this year. He wants to do that because Mr. Morley and him were fraternity brothers, and they kind of have like a competition, or Mr. Bailey has always kind of felt a little slighted by Mr. Morley, so he wants to raise the most amount of money. He decides to raise money by raffling tickets and in exchange to win cash. And on the night of the raffle, a sheriff shows up and arrests Mr. Barely. He is convicted of a misdemeanor and placed on probation. So pretty hardcore stuff, I would say. Legal and ethical issues. So the legal issues that I've seen here are that in the state of Kansas, a license is required for raffle ticket sales that generate more than $25,000. And in the states of Alabama, Hawaii, and Utah, it is illegal for a nonprofit organization to hold a raffle. So some legal issues. Ethical issues. Who was it that decided to tip off authorities? So how is it that someone knows that Mr. Barely was doing something that was illegal, and who was the person who decided to do that? Why didn't they talk to him first? Or, who was the person? Mr. Barely is overly competitive with the head of another foundation, so that could cloud his judgment. Because he is so competitive, it might make him not see things the way that they should. And then another ethical issue, should the supplementary curriculum be funded by fundraisers? So because of every single school gets to fund these supplementary curriculums on their own, it kind of makes it different for every school. So they're not all going to be equitable. So who was harmed? I would say that the Briardale Elementary has been harmed, and its foundation's reputation are also tainted. Principal Santos feels embarrassed for allowing this to happen. And at this point, the community has also been harmed because there's a level of mistrust, not just with the school, but the district as a whole. So synthesizing, one sentence, I would say that Briardale Elementary's foundation president, Mr. Barely, has been arrested after organizing a raffle for cash fundraiser, leaving the Briardale community confused and Principal Santos embarrassed. So what are the relevant known and unknown facts of this case? So the people that are involved and the people that we know about: Mr. Morley, he's been convicted of a misdemeanor and is on probation. What we don't know is, will he still hold a position in the foundation? So he has been convicted, but that doesn't mean that he isn't necessarily going to be out of it completely. Is he still going to hold a position in the foundation? Principal Santos is extremely embarrassed, but something that is unknown is he going to become more involved in the school's foundation? Is he going to start overseeing these fundraising efforts? Because up until now, parents and really the foundation members are the ones who are in charge of it. The principal has nothing to do with it. School board members, how are they going to intervene? Did they even know about this fundraising effort? So is this something that they had to approve? Something that we don't know currently. So this happened at Briardale Elementary, as I had mentioned earlier, but what we don't know is what state is the school located. So did authorities come because it is located in Alabama or Hawaii, and this is something that's illegal, or why is it necessarily knowing what state this is taking place is important. And then the program, so the school's foundations are ran by parents. The foundations fund the supplemental curriculum in the schools, but things that are unknown: what were the previous fundraisers used and how much money did they raise? And has a cash raffle ever been used? So those two ideas, or those two questions, would be important to know, because if this is the first time this is happening, why did they allow it to happen? And if it's already happened before, did it have these types of consequences? So Section 5, review and prioritize the information. So the district has no set protocol on how to equitably fund supplementary curriculum in the schools. This inequity has created a competitiveness among schools and has now damaged the community's perception of Briardale Elementary. Briardale Elementary's parents and students have all been damaged, as the funds they have raised are now in question, and currently there isn't a plan of what is going to happen to them. The Board of Education should be consulted so that I know what it is, so that I know what is in the realm of protocol and what I can do. I need to know exactly why the arrest was made, so I do not have enough information to make a decision about anything quite yet. So I don't know exactly what happened with the arrest, so I can't make a complete decision yet, but there are some things that I could possibly do. So, identifying options and possible consequences. So, option one, I could do nothing. I could endure the embarrassment and apologize to the community. I could choose a new foundation president and try to put this all in the past. Option two is to do some collaborative feedback. I could apologize to the community and ask for their feedback and what they feel would benefit the entire district when it comes to supplementary curriculum funds. And then I could meet with the school board to try to come up with a solution that works for all the schools. And option three, I could save face. I could blame Mr. Barely for all the wrongdoing and halt the fundraising for the year, and then I could return money to all who participated. So evaluating my options. So option one, if I don't do anything, the pros are that the stakeholders are not hearing about the issues anymore. So they're just, it's just going to be put behind us. The cons is that this can show a little bit of lax leadership and doesn't really address the issue, and might even lead stakeholders to believe it could happen again. So if I'm just brushing it under the rug, then stakeholders might think, okay, is this going to happen again? Option two, collaborative feedback. The pros are that all the stakeholders' views are taken into consideration, and there's possibility for a new equitable plan that meets the needs of the entire district. Cons are that this option requires time, and it might not yield results right away. So the stakeholders also might not care to have an equitable plan in place. They might want to continue running fundraisers to fund supplementary curriculum. So in this one, I'm getting a lot of feedback from our stakeholders. Option three, I could save face. The pros, I will not be burdened with ill feelings from parents and will be seen in a good light by the community. But the cons are that it places blame entirely on another person instead of realizing that many were at fault. So I believe that the best course of action is option two, to do a little bit of collaborative feedback. So this option allows for all stakeholders' points of views to be taken into consideration. This option does require time and patience from all involved, as it has the potential to be new terrain for everyone. One thing is for certain, though, the viewpoints of the community will be at the forefront. So how do I plan to implement this decision? So choosing my path, these are the things that I'm going to do to implement this decision. So I'm going to talk to the school board to try to understand what happened with Mr. Barely. Because I don't really know what happened, it's really difficult to make a decision. But even though I don't know what happened, this is what I want to do. I'm going to discuss, I'm going to try to control the things that I can control. So I'm going to discuss the idea of reaching out to the community about whether or not fundraising should still be the means to fund supplementary curriculum and if it should be divided up by schools. I'm going to then apologize to the community about the fundraising issue with the cash raffle. I'm going to provide a survey asking how parents feel foundations should raise money for supplementary curriculum going forward. I'm going to make sure to include any legal information because some legalities were not included or were overlooked. So that would be very important. I'm going to ask the community if they have other ideas to make the funding of supplementary curriculum more equitable across the district. And then I'm also going to review the community surveys and present the findings to the school board. No matter what the outcome, all the viewpoints are going to be considered. So thinking about what might happen, the community members might want to continue raising money for supplementary curriculum, or they could want to get rid of fundraising completely and want to explore other funding options. So it just kind of depends what they decide. Do they want to continue with what they know, or do they want to do something different where it's a little bit more equitable for everyone in the district? So who needs to know about this? The school board needs to know, the Briardale Foundation, teachers, parents, and students need to know. Am I okay with making this decision, or can I do this on my own? So because I want this to be a collaborative effort, I'm going to be presenting, consulting with the school board, and gathering feedback from parents and community stakeholders. So I am not going to be dealing with this information on my own. And thinking about what I would do next if my plan of action doesn't work. So if this collaborative approach doesn't work, my plan B would be to meet with the foundation members and the school board alone and make an executive decision together about how to receive funding for supplementary curriculum. So we're either going to stick to fundraising at individual schools or come up with a plan that will allocate funds evenly to all schools. So in that plan B, I'm still having a little bit of a collaborative approach, but it's not going to necessarily involve the stakeholders, or not all the stakeholders. It is going to involve the school board and the foundation members. These are the references that I used. So thank you so much for listening to my presentation.